What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back. Me, myself, Huzaifa is here. Justin was on a second ago. He's about to rejoin, and he's rejoining now. Justin, what's up?
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, yeah. We are good. Guys, this is it. We've been waiting for 6 weeks. Mr. Clapper is sick and tired of the wait. He says, ready for the show. Let's effing go. UFC is finally back 6 weeks. Felt like 6 months. Hey, I got to disagree. I don't feel like it actually felt that long. I didn't mind the break. We had some fun boxing matches going on. We had some fun other events, different things like RAF wrestling events. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We've kept busy, but it is true. We are back. And to celebrate being back, Toronto says, what's up, Fight Family? What's up, MMA legend Justin? Not to celebrate being back, actually. Guys, guess what? Guess where I went yesterday? I went to the fight capital of the U.S., of the world. I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I was in and out. I was there for Cosmo. You're okay, Babu. I was there for less than 24 hours. I got in yesterday. That's why I'm so tired right now. 2 days back-to-back of terrible sleep. Cosmo, you're all right. So 2 days back-to-back, I got in. Trained with Justin. We got some footage of that. Maybe we'll show it. We'll see. And then I saw an amazing event, an amazing fight. Really, I only saw that one fight. I saw 2 fights and then I left. But we're going to talk about all of that later.
You only watched 2 fights on the whole card?
Yeah, and I left. Dude, I as soon as I saw Smilla Sundell go and fight, I took a video of it and I came back upstairs and I made the video about Smilla Sundell's fight. So I just came back up and started working again. And that video is doing pretty well. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's got like 1,600 views and climbing. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, we got other stuff to talk about before we get into the mix about Smilla Sundell. Hopefully, Justin, we have time where I can show you some of her footage because I want to see your thoughts. I was blown away, dude. She is so freaking good. Okay, let's get into the mix. We're going to do our final predictions going back and forth. Who knows? Maybe I've been convinced by some of Justin's picks. Maybe I haven't. We're going to see once and for all, and we're going to flip through this entire fight card, which is such a dope fight card. All right, let's get into the mix, and we're going to go step by step, starting with, of course, this main event. Justin, you made a really good video. You made a good breakdown. Has anything changed since your breakdown? Are you still sticking with your pick? And if so, who is that?
Well, that's Justin Gaethje, man. I'm sticking with my pick. I'm sticking with the most violent man. I think this is a huge step up in competition for Patty. Justin Gaethje's been there, done that. He's fought champ after champ after champ, former champ, current champ. He's fought the best fighters in the world. Habib Nurmagomedov, Paddy Pimblett has fought Mike Chandler, 2-6 in the UFC. Tony Ferguson, who lost 7 fights in a row. Louis Ventimiglia, who was it was a short notice fight. I think Jared Gordon, who I thought Jared beat him. I think it's just too big of a step up in competition for him.
All right, Justin, do me a favor. See if you can log off and log back on. Your audio is glitching again. So if you can sign off and
I turned off my car. How's that?
Okay. It's probably going to be better now. All right. So you gave a really good argument. And actually I've heard some other folks talk about and discuss these two guys going at it. And I've heard other people say that they think Justin's got more skill. He's faced way better opponents. He's clearly got the advantage in the striking, which I'm not sure about. And so a lot of people are picking Justin Gaethje. Man, I heard them talk about this fight on the weigh-in show today. I'm sticking with my pick. As much as I think it'd be amazing if Gaethje wins. Oh, also, I saw some training footage of Justin Gaethje as well, doing tons of grappling, wrestling on the ground, etc. But I am going to go with Patty the Batty for a couple of reasons. Number one, people say that, yeah, maybe Justin has the striking advantage, but I'm not so sure, man. Patty's got some weird strikes and that awkwardness, that strangeness, that difficulty to emulate his style, especially in the training room. I feel like that's going to give him the advantage, just like it gives DDP the advantage. I'm actually going to say that Patty might have a little bit of advantage in the striking, with the size, with the range, with the diversity of strikes. Same reason. It's the same reason why I picked DDP over Sean Strickland. And again, if you look at Sean Strickland, he's the more traditional striker, the better technique, the better boxing. But I think DDP was more effective because you had strikes coming from every which way. I think we're going to see something similar with Patty. Yes, we have the leg kicks from Justin Gaethje. I actually am now thinking that those leg kicks are going to be his weakness. And let me tell you why. I forgot about this, but if you go back to the Rafael Fiziev fight against Justin Gaethje, Fiziev landed 2 takedowns off of leg kicks from Justin Gaethje, and that's Rafael Fiziev, who's a Muay Thai practitioner. Now, we're not talking about a Muay Thai guy. We're talking about Paddy Pimblett, who I think will be able to get some takedowns as a result. And then last but not least, we go to the jiu-jitsu, the ground game. And when we get to the ground, I'm not saying getting to the ground, okay? Justin is going to have some tricks up his sleeve with the wrestling and the takedown defense. But when they get to the ground, I think it's going to be Paddy Pimblett all day long, because I think that's a deficit in Justin Gaethje's game for sure. Even if the wrestling is solid and the takedown defense can be great, I think the jiu-jitsu, there's going to be a deficit. So I'm going with Paddy Pimblett all day long. Me and Justin are at ops on this one, so we shall see how it goes down. Cannot wait, guys. If you guys have any doubts if this is going to be a banger, then you're just not a mixed martial arts fan, because this is going to be a banger. It's a guarantee. Pern says, evening, people. Oh, Tehran's with you, though. That's got to be a vote of confidence. Justin, you want to tell the people about the wager you placed on this fight, by the way?
Yeah, I got plus 210. Justin Gaethje. I put $500 on it. I think this is a lock. I mean, my biggest concern right now, Justin Gaethje has taken a lot more damage than Paddy Pimblett. I'm wondering if that's going to play a factor. That's really my only concern in this fight. You look at Fiziev and you talk about his Muay Thai background. He does have a Muay Thai background, but let's not forget he is the MMA coach at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. Not the Muay Thai instructor, but the MMA coach. So he does have wrestling, he does have grappling, and you can always catch people coming off guard with the takedown. I just don't think. I mean, and man, I've been proven wrong before. It's just a gut feeling I have.
Your phone is still messed up, Justin. If you get, can you log back off and log off and log back on? I don't know what's going on. All right, I'll read a couple comments. Pern, we've got. I just watched Gable Stevenson montage. My take on him was wrong. Jesus Christ, he's going to yeah. He's gonna murder the in the Mexican Fighting League. Yeah, I don't even know who's he's matched up with a guy who's like 11-3 or something. Who's got a ton of experience. But yeah, dog, it is going to be a really bad day for anybody who's fighting Gable Stevenson. Tehran says Gaethje said he's gonna shake that brain of Paddy's. Yo, I like that. You mentioned the heat at the press conference. Although I got to admit, UFC pressers are not what they used to be, man. They are really, really, really standardized and just not exciting anymore. But there was a little bit of heat there. It was interesting. I think Gaethje's got a lot of confidence coming in. Oh, I also say this. Gaethje looked great at the weigh-ins. There were some concerns that he was showing up late to the weigh-ins. Not late, but he wasn't first in line like Paddy was. But he looked great. He was jumping around. He looked like he had a ton of energy. So I think Gaethje is more than ready. I think he had a good weight cut. So we shall see. The sound is weird, but we can understand. Justin Pern says, yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. Justin hopefully will be popping back on. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully. All right, let's see now. All right, Justin, we got you back here. Hold on. Okay. All right, Justin. So we were just chopping it up about Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. Let's move on to the next fight. Let's go with our boy Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. How about I'll start this one out since you started the last one. I'm going Sean O'Malley all day. I think Justin is with me on this one, and he's going to give him the more technical analysis. I'm just going to say plain and simple, we're going with Sean O'Malley because of the heart. He is one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. He's a legend. He's great for the sport. He's a legend at a bantamweight. Justin, give us the more technical analysis. Why are you picking Sean O'Malley to beat Song Yadong?
In a short way, Sean's just more dynamic. Song Yadong's very dangerous, very powerful. He has an incredible right hand. He'll double it up, he'll triple it up, he'll throw it from different angles. But it's just a little too one-dimensional for my liking. Sean O'Malley is going to be fighting with his hands down. He's going to be in, he's going to be out. He's going to get Yadong frustrated. Yadong's going to overcommit with that right hand, and Sean O'Malley's going to find a place for his right hand and knock him out.
I've heard people say that with the skill set that Sean O'Malley brings and what Song Yadong normally does, Song Yadong's going to have a very difficult time unless he gets in there and wrestles and makes it gritty. But that's usually not his game plan. So I think you're 100% right. I think with his in and out movement, his quickness, his precision, the way he strikes, I think Sean O'Malley, I think people are predicting this to be a decision victory for Sean O'Malley. I don't know why with all of that he's got going for him. I don't see why it won't be a knockout. So I'm going to actually say Sean O'Malley by KO. I think it's going to get a flash KO, and it's going to be amazing. All right, we're going to go on to the next fight. Huge fight. This is where Justin and I are going to disagree, and that's always fun. I got to go. Actually, Justin, let me turn it over to you first because I went first on the last one. Take it away.
So we look at this matchup. You have a power puncher, and Derek Lewis has power, can knock anybody at any time. or you have a much more technical striker in Waldo Cortez Acosta. He's very technical. He throws incredible combinations. He has incredible technique. So initially, my initial thought when breaking this fight down was this should be a pretty easy fight for Cortez. Now, what swayed my opinion is Cortez says he's going to go in there and knock him out in the first round. And I just think that's a very bad game plan. Derek Lewis is very dangerous in the first round, and that's when he's going to be the most dangerous. If I was Waldo Cortez, I'd be looking to take this fight into the second round, into the third round, wear at him, and just keep chipping away at him. But for him to come out and say, oh, I'm going to knock him out in the first exchange, or I'm going to knock him out in the first round, that's terrible game planning, terrible coaching. Now, if he's just saying that, then I got to go back to Waldo Cortez. But if he actually does that, I'm taking Derek Lewis by first round knockout.
Fair enough. I was just thinking that he might very well just be boasting, be saying that. Although this guy is on such a tear right now, and he's just trying so hard to be such a company man, such an exciting fighter. I could see him go in there and do that. But yeah, I got to go with Salsa Boy just because of the momentum, everything he's done. He's so hungry right now. He's got the age advantage as well. Derek Lewis is now in his 40s. So I am going to go Salsa Boy all day long and just hope that he executes a good, solid game plan against such a heavy hitter, such a power puncher like Derek Lewis, who holds the KO record in the UFC. I think by like a long shot, they were saying in the morning. I don't remember exactly how many he's got. By the way, does it surprise you or not to know that Salsa Boy can throw a 94 mile per hour pitch?
No, not really. I mean, he's a heavyweight. I mean, that's an incredible pitch. Don't get me wrong. But he's a big guy with long limbs, and I'm sure he gets a lot of whip on that ball.
And that's why he gets a lot of whip on those punches as well. That's why he finished Ante D'Elia. He finished his opponent last month as well. And I'm blanking on his name right now, but I think it's going to be a very look. Let's put it like this. However this fight goes, I'm going Salsa Boy. Justin is going Derek Lewis, unless Salsa Boy executes a careful, cautious, nice, good game plan. So we're kind of in alignment here. But what we can say for sure is there's almost certainly going to be a KO with this fight. And that's another reason why this card is so stacked and this whole main event is so amazing. All right, we got some formatting issues on the UFC website. That's not a good look. But anyways, next fight, we got Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Natalia Silva is just on such a tear right now. I got to go Natalia Silva. No matter how good Rose Namajunas is, no matter how many championships she's won, they're saying that she's one of the 5 greatest female fighters of all time. That very well may be true, but I just think it's Natalia Silva's time. Plus, her striking and her speed and her accuracy is, I think, very, very unique in this game right now and in this sport. I think if she kept the fight on the feet against Shevchenko, I think she beats Shevchenko as well. I'm going Natalia Silva all day long. Justin?
I'm going with you on Natalia Silva. You know, Rose Namajunas is a great fighter. She's already been there and done that, but this is Natalia Silva's time. She's going to come in here. I think she's going to put on a striking clinic and win the decision here.
All right. And then a lot of glitches on the website. All right, let's get to the last fight on the main card, and we'll do some honorable mentions for a couple of the prelim fights. And we're going to talk about what happened at the weigh-ins this morning, because a lot of stuff went down at the weigh-ins that I'm quite frankly shocked by, and I'm going to tell you why when we get to that in a second. Arnold Allen, Jean Silva. I'll take it here. I'm going with the favorite, Jean Silva. It looks like a minus 275 against Arnold Allen. That's the way that I was going to go anyways. I feel like Jean Silva with the momentum, Arnold Allen, even though he's got the higher rank, has been out for some time. Arnold Allen, a very, very, very skilled fighter in the featherweight division, but Jean Silva having a great performance. He lost to Diego Lopez, but had a great performance against Diego Lopez until it wasn't such a great performance. I think he's going to get the job done against Arnold Allen, and he'll be right back in the mix. Justin, who do you got?
Got to go with you, man. Jean Silva, we're talking about UFC narrative. We're talking about popularity. We're talking about hype. You guys saw the video of Jean Silva looking at the UFC belt and actually breaking down and crying. This guy's coming in ready to go, and I think he's going to get back on the winning track right now.
Apparently, Jean Silva just got tested, and he is now officially come out as autistic. I don't know if you saw that, but he's been joking around about that during the pressers and saying, hey, who wants to see 2 autistic guys get in the cage and just go at it? So I think that's really, really cool. But yeah, Jean Silva, known for being highly, highly emotional, lets the tears flow and then lets the hands flow in the cage. So we're both in agreement, Jean Silva. Now we'll do 2 honorable mention fights. Dude, this fight, look at the odds for Umar Nurmagomedov against Davison Figueiredo. And when people were asked about those odds, they're like, Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, like, that's crazy, dude. Davison Figueiredo, former champ. Have you ever seen anything? I mean, what did we see this with? What was it? Amanda Nunes against Juliana Pena, something like that. But it was a minus 1200, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember anything like this when somebody's fighting a former champ and they're minus 1400?
I can't think of any circumstance at any time.
Dude, this is crazy. Yeah, go
I don't
ahead.
know that. No, I was thinking Stephan Bonner, Anderson Silva, but Bonner was never a champ. So
It's crazy. You know, they were saying as well, if Umar Nurmagomedov gets the victory and Sean O'Malley on the weigh-in show, that it's probably going to be Sean next for the title shot. And DC was like, but you can't give it to, what about Umar? They got to give it to Umar. He's number 2. But the thing is that they mentioned, I mean, that's going to be probably what the UFC does do. But apparently Umar is saying that if he gets the victory, he wants to fight Merab again. I think that's so sick. I'd love to see a rematch between Umar and Merab. Is that something that excites you or not really?
yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good fight, but it's going to go to decision. And honestly, just watching 25 minutes of fighting is, I lose my interest relatively quick.
Well, that's fair. I actually don't know if it would go to decision, but you're right. There's probably a high probability that it would, or a reasonable probability that it would. So fair enough. But I would love to see it, and I'd love to see Umar get that one back. Last fight, we got Andre Puliov, but really it's about Ateba Gauthier, who's less of a favorite than Umar Nurmagomedov, but I can almost guarantee you this is going to be a first round finish. We've got the phenom from Cameroon. This guy's got KO power all day long. He doesn't even lift weights, and the guy is jacked, built like an X-Men superhero. So that's going to be one to look out for on the prelims. I can't wait for that. All right. Well, that's what we got right there. Now, Justin, we're going to move on to more news. So we got a couple comments here. Tehran says, people joke on autism, but it's really not a diss. Most autistic people are smarter than yeah. Oh, dude, 100%. It's not yeah. I hope it didn't come off as being a diss whatsoever. Yeah, 100%. There's so many people that can do incredible things that that are autistic, that, you know what I mean? And actually, so one of the things about being on the spectrum, let's put it like that, is there's this ability of there's this tendency to hyper focus on particular things. I think that's why people have mentioned that some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners might be on the spectrum, and the reason why is because they're hyper focusing on that one particular sport, and then that's how they get so good at it. So yes, this is absolutely true. It can be on the spectrum but super high functioning, and obviously that's if John Silva is being sincere and he truly got tested and whatnot, it sounds like he's in that category where he's hyper focused. Why he's so good. So absolutely, yeah. I hope that didn't come off the wrong way. Running at Derek, imagine doing that. I'd rather run at a bear. Burn says, and while Silva is a bigger favorite than I expected in Natalia Silva, I didn't even see the odds. Yeah, what she was minus like 375. But yeah, dude, Natalia Silva's no joke, dude. She's the last time I saw her fight against what's her name, the former champ Alexa Grasso, I was shocked at how good she looked against Alexa Grasso. She dominated that fight. People fear what they don't understand. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. 100% back to, he's talking about being on the spectrum. Pern says, I think you can find, okay, also, I think you can find autistic people on any part of the intelligence scale. You don't see what or how fast people pick things up. Yeah, intelligence is a very tricky thing and a weird thing to measure. I know everybody goes back to the IQ test. Now, obviously, I work in education, so I've thought about this quite a bit, and it's I don't even know what to make of all the tests and all the ways that people evaluate it. I just think people have different strengths and different weaknesses. You play to your strengths, you're going to look like a genius. You play to things that you're not interested in, or to your weaknesses, and things are going to look like they're a little tougher for you. So a lot of times I think it's all very contextual in terms of what your intelligence, quote unquote, level is, or lack thereof. So it's a complicated thing. All right, let's get back to some fight news here. Dude, there was a lot of weight misses today, and the reason why I'm shocked at all of the weight misses, there were 3 if I'm not mistaken, and 1 fight was actually scrapped. But the reason why I'm shocked is because this is the Paramount card. This is a huge event. Dana White has been saying that this event is so massive that that's all he's focusing on right now, to get this off the ground and to have it go off with a bang. It's another reason why they stacked the card. And you would think that everybody should be minding their P's and Q's on this fight card for the weigh-ins, right? That's the fight before the fight. Oh my God, dude. All right, so let me show you what happened here. We're going to go through the different weight misses. So Davison Figueiredo, Justin, who's missed weight multiple times at flyweight. Then he moved up to bantamweight. He missed by 2.5 pounds. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I mean, again, this is a former champion, and they were saying on the weigh-in show, they're like, look, he already moved up in weight class. This has got to be a discipline issue. So I want to hear about that in 1 second from you, Justin, the actual fighter. Alex Perez is weight by 2.5 pounds as well. And then Cameron Smotherman actually didn't make weight, but he fainted right after making weight, fell right on the stage, and they've called off his fight against Ricky Turcios. So that fight is off. But let's go back to Davison Figueiredo real quick. What are your thoughts on a guy like Davison Figueiredo missing weight this many times, especially missing weight on this massive stage here?
Yeah, I think it comes down to discipline 100%. I mean, we're talking about the former champion at 125, go up 10 pounds, and he's still missing weight. Reminds me of, I'm thinking of that Mexican fighter. What's his name? He's a middleweight. He fought Hamzat, or didn't fight Hamzat. What's his name? He was at 70. No, he was at 70. He missed weight a bunch of times. He went up to 85. He fought Chris Curtis. Why can't I think of his name?
Your boy, you've seen him before, but
Yeah.
And he fought Izzy.
Yes.
Why am I blanking on his name right now?
I'm picturing his face and I'm blanking his name, but regardless, it comes down to a discipline. And with that being said, Figueroa is very lean, very, he's jacked, but I mean, what is he doing to not make weight? It's like he understands the task at hand. He's been around for a long time. There's just no excuse for that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're the one that has to say that, not me. You've actually cut weight. Kelvin Gastelum is the fighter that we were thinking of. Both of us were blanking on that name. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I think that's got to swing the odds even more in favor, I think, for Umar. Although a lot of people say when there is a weight miss, it actually favors the guy who missed weight because they maybe cut the weight. They stopped doing the weight cut prematurely. They might have a little bit more energy, more stamina. I don't think that's going to matter, though. I think also, too, because Umar is just such a competitor and just so dialed in with an amazing team that I think Umar is clearly going to be favored. All right, now, Justin, I want to show you this footage. We're going to get Justin's reaction of Cameron Smotherman collapsing. They were saying on the weigh-in show that they have never seen this before. Justin, let me play this for you, and you give us your thoughts as to how severe this is.
Texas.
We got to get out of this. Hold on 1 second. Let's go to, here we go.
135 and a half.
135 and a half for Cameron.
Guys, get one of the doctor out here. Get one of the doctors grab the make some weight.
Now, what's interesting there, and Justin, again, you're the one that's the expert here, but when you see that they have the fluids right there, and he's not taking them, he must be just so out of it that I guess he's not reaching for it or doesn't want it. Can you talk about this a little bit from your experience? All the fighters you've trained, all the fights you've had, 80 some fights. Tell me about what you're seeing here.
I don't know, man. I don't want to make a comment on this because I don't know. I've watched thousands of fights. I've been a part of hundreds of weight cuts, and there's been some bad ones, man. I mean, really bad ones, and I've never seen that happen before. I'm not saying he's playing possum or looking for sympathy. I'm not saying that, and that's why I don't really want to touch on this because I don't want to make it sound like me saying, oh, he's faking it, because obviously this could be a serious medical emergency. But out of thousands of weigh-ins that I've watched in wrestling, in MMA, in grappling, in combat sports, I've seen guys get lightheaded. But here's the thing. You look at those little pieces. Why isn't his coach giving him Pedialyte right now? Why aren't they trying to you know what I mean? Like, as soon as you step on the scale, or at least for me, my coach was standing right behind me. And the first thing, as soon as I step on the scale, he hands me my drink. Why does he walk? Why is nobody supporting him to walk. Because here's the other thing: he walked up the stairs with no problem, and now he's on a flat. That's the thing. I feel like if he was going to trip or faint, it would have been where his body has to exert a little bit more energy, where he's walking up the stairs or even walking down the stairs. And again, I'm not saying this is fake, and I'm not even implying that. But it just something I don't know. Why isn't his team there? Why aren't they getting fluids in this guy? There's so many weird things that happen in this 10-second clip that, maybe I mean, I've had bad weight cuts, and Roman is right there. Dennis is right there because that's the last thing you need to do is face plant and get your fight taken off. Because now that his fight's off, he's not getting paid. His coaches aren't getting paid. His management isn't getting paid. Imagine had his coach stood there and grabbed him, or he put his hand on his coach's shoulder, he could have supported him enough until they get off cage and then get rehydrated and then evaluate if they can still fight tomorrow. I don't know. This is just how many fights does this guy have in the UFC? Is this his UFC debut? Because it looks very Bush League to me.
Well, he was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was the favorite. I think he had a Contender Series fight, and he had one other fight. I'm going to double check right now. But Justin, I'm actually glad you said this. Okay, no. I think I'm wrong about that. He won a UFC Fight Night decision unanimous. Then he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He fought. Now I'm so wrong about this. So he lost back in May 3rd of 2025. Fought again in June 14th. Quick turnaround against Ricky Simone, and he lost again. So he was on a 2-fight losing streak, and he was trying to come back. Now, I know you're nervous to kind of put something out there definitive, but I'm actually really glad you said what you said, because let me show you something that I noticed when I saw this fight. Now, I'm not in the position to say whether this is real or not, or is this playing possum, as Justin mentioned, or not. But the fact that Justin mentions it, I got to bring something up that I did notice as well. We talked about the hydration, but there's one other thing, Justin, that's weird. When he falls over, notice he catches himself with his hands. It's not as though he face plants. So it almost looks like he was bracing himself. So he had the wherewithal to do that. Look at this again.
Cameron.
You see that?
Yeah, I see his hands up.
He braces himself. So now that you're saying that, and you have a little bit of the suspicion, and I'm seeing that, man, I don't know. So if this was something that was premeditated, in your opinion, and it was a little bit playing possum, what is this, like the type of thing that maybe the nerves got too much for him theoretically, and he said, hey, this is the way that I'm going to take out, didn't tell his coach, didn't tell anybody, and just decided to do this so he didn't have to fight? Like, is that something that you think could have been possible here?
Man, I hate saying that, about guys, because, if it's not true and we're, making that insinuation, but
Sure.
I mean, it looks weird to me, man. And again, I haven't seen dozens. I haven't seen hundreds. I've seen thousands of weigh-ins. I've seen thousands of people have very bad weight cuts, including myself. And at no point ever did I ever feel that I was going to face plant on a flat surface. You know what I mean? And then again, to put his hand, I don't know, man. Especially maybe the nerves got to him. He's on. Hey,
How are you?
hi.
Yeah, you.
I'm the head coach.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, good.
Hey, how are you?
Good job last night.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of pressure in that situation. You look at it like he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Now he's coming in as the favorite. He's expected to win. He knows his career is on the line. He can't be a favorite and then lose his 3rd fight in a row. He's going to lose. He's going to lose his all his credibility. He'll lose his contract. He'll get cut from the UFC. So maybe the nerves got to him. And because, again, you can't lose 2 fights in a row, be a favorite, and then lose a 3rd fight. You're going to get cut. You're on the chopping block. Maybe the nerves got to him, and he's like, all right, maybe he didn't have a good training camp, and that's why his weight cut was so hard. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna fall down. And again, I hate saying this, but maybe I'm gonna fall down and get another fight and have a better training camp and make the best of it for my 3rd fight or for the next fight.
Okay, and I think we're discussing this in a very respectful way. This is you leveraging your years of fight experience to draw on everything, and like that's what we have to do sometimes. It looks like we're just being real. It looks a little fishy. So I honestly, I felt that before. I just didn't want to say anything because I don't have the experience like you do. So that's it. I think it's a fascinating point that you bring up. Sorry guys, I know we got a lot of comments here. We're gonna read them right now. And if you guys could like the stream, we'd really appreciate it. Hey, look who we got. We got that 10-7 MMA. Our brothers in arms are back in the mix. They say shout out to. Let me mute you, Justin. They say, shout out to Teron Brown. We were talking the 10-7 plus 10-7 link up is going to be legendary. Yo, we got to do that. We should talk to guys 10-7. If you're on right now, maybe we could do a show together on Monday. That'd be really fun after UFC 324, just chopping it up. 10-7 yelled out Gastelum first when we couldn't come up with that name. So there's Gastelum. What's up, 10-7? Cameron should probably consider moving up. Teron says, man, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets cut, man, honestly, but I guess we'll see what happens.
If he gets cut, I mean, the UFC, here's the thing. If he gets cut, the UFC is essentially agreeing with what we're saying right now.
Yes.
Because if he doesn't get, if it's a serious medical emergency, there will be some sympathy from the UFC. But just like what's his name hurting his back before, the UFC is like, come on, this guy's kind of fucking around. So time will tell. Let's see if the UFC agrees with our take.
All right, we shall see. Those Princess, those weight cuts always seem dangerous to me. Yeah, 100% the weight cuts.
Hey guys, we had a big match. I had a big match last night. Senior night. Randy Couture came out, supported Chris Cale, bass player from Five Finger Death Punch. Had an incredible match last night. I have some team business stuff I need to handle right now, so I have to go.
Okay.
But guys, if you guys have any questions, what I'd really like for you to do, especially if you have some questions that I could make a video about, message me on Instagram, let Huzaifa know. And I think I'm gonna make a video about this fainting spell. And
yes,
actually I'm going to. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video on that.
Yeah,
so,
break it down and explain it. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
All right. If there's anything else you guys want me to break down, let me know.
All right, take it easy, Justin. Later.
All right, see you guys.
Peace. Okay, I'm gonna keep the show going, guys. And MGal says, nice and warm here in Miami. Can't wait for 324. Guys, it's a day away. I can't believe it. MGal4 Production says, Five Finger Death Lunch. Pern says, Randy is the legend. I want to ask Justin about weight cutting and the way ONE FC does it. All right, let me ask Justin. I'll forward that message to him in terms of ONE FC. And I think that's a really good question to ask him. Okay. We're going to keep it moving, guys. There was some controversy over the week. Hey, John Dong is in the mix. John Dong, what's up? Welcome back. There was some controversy this week as well. A big story that we haven't really touched, and I'm going to tell you why we haven't really touched it, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now. Justin Gaethje made that statement on Fighter Pay and said, hey, yes, there's this new deal. Yes, there's $7.7 billion, but I haven't seen any increase on my payment or my paycheck right now. And on top of that, he mentioned how his 14 fight bonuses total up to, for what I think, like 950,000, not even totaling up $1 million, kind of complaining that with all these fight bonuses, but I still haven't even cleared $1 million in bonuses. And I wanted to talk about this. Look, I'm one of the guys that I'm always trying to look at this from a holistic perspective, meaning not just the fighters need to get more and more and more and more. Let's compare, let's think about this as an ecosystem, as a business, and how our business is run. There's negotiations for salaries in every industry, in every walk of life. And the employees are trying to get more money from the employers. The employers are trying to save money so they can have more money for the product, for the other employees, et cetera. So there's always this back and forth. It's not just, hey, let's get more money to the fighters. There's a lot of considerations to weigh here. But when I was thinking about this controversy, I've heard Ariel Helwani, of course, Ariel's always going to be on just the side of fighters getting more money with no consideration to how that affects the organization. And I think part of that, unfortunately, is just because he feels a particular way about Dana White and the organization. That's always going to color his commentary and his opinions on this subject. It's not really always going to be from a genuine place of, all right, let's see what makes sense here. But just coming back to this controversy, yes, the UFC got this big bump in revenue. And I think eventually, I am on the side that I do believe that money is going to trickle down not only to the fighters, but also to the UFC employees. But ultimately, currently, if some of these fighters or many of these fighters are still under contract from a previous contract, it's not as though the UFC or any company is going to be like, hey, we just got a big windfall. Let's just give everybody more money. That's not what happens in a business. Now, as the fights are renegotiated or the new contracts are negotiated, maybe they'll come out to be higher. But we don't just say, it's not a foregone conclusion that a company is just going to now say, all right, we know we have these contracts in place. We're just going to bump everything up. I mean, they could do that and they might do that. But to say that the UFC is obligated to do that right out the gate, that's just not an honest take on how business is run. And I know people are going to now compare it to the NBA or the NFL when they look at the revenue sharing or the sharing in terms of the, I guess, like profits or whatever. The thing that I'll say on this is, even if there are differences in the percentages that are shared with the athletes, I think they're saying like 22% to like 49% in some of these other leagues. The other thing that we have to consider, and again, I'm not saying that I lean one way or the other here because I don't have the requisite information, but what people don't consider oftentimes when they're talking about fighter pay is, what is the profit margin in the UFC comparatively to these other organizations? Because since the UFC is in that growth phase and it's a growing sport, I would not be surprised if their production costs, their marketing costs, these different elements are heavier and bigger than these other professional sports leagues. And the other thing that's very different about the UFC and the NFL or the NBA is the UFC owns everything. The fighters all fight under one umbrella. They kind of run the show. They set things up. For the NBA or the NFL, it's all individual teams. It's these different teams that they're the ones that are hosting the events when games come to them. It's a different type of structure. I'm just saying this, guys. I'm not trying to say that fighter pay is perfect and that fighter pay doesn't need to change. I don't know, but when people talk about it, I feel like they brush so many of these details under the rug and they're not giving it an honest view. And that's partially fueled by the media and a lot of the complaints that are happening in the media, but they're not thinking about it. I don't think they're not thinking about it correctly as a full-fledged business and all the different parts and pieces that are moving and working together to make this product what it is for us fans. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's going to be my take. It's not really a very committed perspective, but it's more of just an encouragement to get people to stop just attacking the UFC for no reason and complaining nonstop. It's not enough. It's terrible. They're ripping them off. But instead, take a moment and think about what we know, but also think about all the things that we don't know and that we should know when we're really trying to give this thing a fair shake and really think about it in an honest and open way. Okay. Pern says, I need to go. Have a nice weekend, people. Later, Pern. Thank you so much for joining. All right, we're going to move on to another interesting tidbit. Dana White was on an interview that I saw earlier today when I was flying back from Vegas. He said, this is crazy. This is crazy because I did not expect this. I don't understand how this is possible. He said that the White House card will make the Sphere event look cheap. And the way he said it was, he said it's going to look like what we spend on Sphere would be just loose change that you throw into an ashtray. Like basically saying it would be nothing. I don't understand how that's possible since renting out Sphere had to be such a massive cost, doing all the lights, the productions, the movies that they produced, all of those crazy things. I don't understand how. Obviously, I don't know all the logistics and all the things that are going into this White House card. But if he's saying not that it's going to be just more expensive than Sphere, but it's going to make it look cheap, it's just crazy to me. And for all the people that complain nonstop about how the UFC is not doing enough and they're disinterested in all these things, how can you be saying that when apparently they've got this massive budget that they're spending way more than the event at Sphere to put on this White House card, and they're pushing the envelope, they're pushing boundaries, they're doing things that no other sport organization has ever done or probably ever will do? How can you say that they're not trying? But anyways, I digress. That got me so excited to think about how much money and infrastructure they're investing into this entire project, not to mention how stacked the fight cards are going to be. So I got beyond excited to hear Dana White say this. And he said, this is the craziest thing. Once they pull this off, this will force. Right now, he said Sphere is the biggest accomplishment that the UFC has ever pulled off. But he said once the White House is pulled off and done, that's going to be the one that's going to have the ultimate, that's going to be the biggest accomplishment in the history of the UFC thus far once that happens. Okay, so now we're going to go to some comments real quick. Some guys, MMA, you just gained a sub. What's up? Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. Normally I got Justin here, so you're missing out on half of the show, but thank you for the vote of support and confidence. I appreciate it. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the community, my friend. Tehran says, I agree with Justin Gaethje. Tell me more, Tehran. I want to hear more. I think you got more comments. So I'm going to read that. John Dong says, yeah, people complain too much about the UFC. Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's not my style. It's not my vibe, really. I mean, if there's things to complain about, all right. But yeah, that's more. I mean, look, I'm a fan. I love the sport. I'm here for the fun, for the good vibes, not necessarily to focus on the negative vibes. Tehran said, all this could have been avoided if the UFC and Dana White didn't take away sponsorship shorts from the fighters. That's how a lot of fighters made their money, but greedy Dana took it away. I wonder why they took that away. I'm guessing it's all been a constant move to basically make the celebrity of MMA the UFC as opposed to the fighters. I mean, I wonder if that's what it comes down to, or maybe also just so they could have individual sponsorship agreements, or maybe sponsorship agreements don't. That guy's sponsoring one company, this one's sponsoring a competitor, and things get here. I don't know how it works. I don't know why they did that. I'd be curious to know if there was actually a reason behind it, as opposed to just consolidating power for the UFC. But that's an interesting point to run. They wonder why so many fighters talk about not making. Okay, fair enough. So you think it comes down to really the sponsorships being removed? That's very interesting. John says, I remember one time in Lucas Tracy's stream before UFC 300, someone in chat said if they were Dana, they would have made every fight on 300 a championship or number one contender fight. Every fight a championship. So what are you talking, like how many? So what are you talking about? Like 7 championship fights and 7 number one contender fights? I mean, again, like that would be cool. That would be great if they could do that, but there's so many considerations to doing something like that. So many things have to line up, and the timing has to be perfect if you want to. And then also, if you have 7 title fights, then what are you going to do for the next couple UFC cards? Like, I don't even think the White House card, I know Trump said there's going to be 8 title fights, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think maybe we'll get 3 or 4 or something like that. And then a BMF belt title fight for Conor as well, either in the co-main or the main. But yeah, that's interesting. I never heard anybody mention something like that, but that'd be, I feel like, a bit extreme. Okay, guys, I got something very, very, very special to share with you guys next. We got something huge to talk about here. Smilla Sundell. Okay, I made a video about her. Now I made 2 videos about her. The second one is out right now. Don't get mad. The video and audio, the audio is actually good, but the video was not great because my what's it called? My Wi-Fi was so terrible in the hotel where I was like filming this, and then it messed up the video quality, but you can still hear the audio perfect. I went to go see this superstar in the making, this legend of fighting and mixed martial arts. I went to Vegas yesterday on a day trip just to see Smilla Sundell. I literally went to the Tough Enough promotion. I went there for 2 fights. Smilla was the second fight that I saw, and then I bounced. I filmed it, and then I immediately came up and made a video about her debut. Guys, Smilla Sundell has arrived in mixed martial arts, and her pro debut, she went out there and she got a first round finish, TKO, with like 20 seconds left in the first round. She put on a clinic. I'm going to see if this works right here. I loaded up the video of her fighting. So I'm going to play through or talk over it while I play some of it, so you guys can see what an amazing job Smilla Sundell did and just how incredible she is if you're unfamiliar with her. So check this out. Here is some highlights of Smilla Sundell. I basically got the whole thing recorded. I'll mute the sound. So that's Smilla on the right-hand side. She's 5'10". Now, the one thing that I mentioned in my breakdown video is that, unfortunately, the one thing that I'm worried about for her eventual future in the UFC is that she fought at 146.8. So I think this was like a featherweight fight, I guess, at 145, or maybe some sort of a catch weight. I'm not sure. But like I said, she's big. She's 5'10". She's now 21 years of age. So I don't know if she's going to be growing anymore. But obviously, there is no 145-pound division. So the question will be, will she eventually be able to cut down to 135? I assume so. If Kayla can make 135. Excuse me. I imagine Smilla can. But anyways, let's look at Smilla right now. So what you want to be looking for is just look at the clinic that she puts on in terms of striking. Barber, her opponent, pretty much sticks to striking only. She doesn't try to mix in any wrestling. Look at that beautiful leg kick. But it's really the hands of Smilla that I'm impressed with. Look at that. The coming over the top with that hook. Boom. And you see that? She lands that heavy into the chin. And the other thing that's impressive, look, great clinching, that great Muay Thai clinch. But notice she's not shy to go to the body. And I think this is something that differentiates her from a lot of fighters who want to constantly headhunt. She did a lot of damage with the hands into the body, into great liver shots. Look at that. And you see how she turns over her punches, really winds up, and then boom, lots of combos. Left to a right head kick, left head kick. That was a right hand to a left head kick. And it's constant combinations. And you see, too, she's doing a great job of distance management, range management. Boom, a 1-2, and then an uppercut. Beautiful again. Just constant teeing off. And it gets worse and worse for Barber. She has a great deal of difficulty connecting. Part of that is the range. Look, you see how she whips those punches, how she really leans down and rotates her entire body. The technique is flawless. And again, guys, Barber, her opponent here, 31, tons of experience in the prime right now. Dude, Smilla Sundell is only 21, and this is her pro MMA debut, so you can see all the damage that she's doing right now. She's really laying it on. We're going to go a little bit ahead. You'll notice, too, another thing that she does kind of similar to Dakota Ditcheva is she throws a lot of really good knees. And do you see that heavy body shot? Heavy strikes to the body right there with the hands. Very, very good. Again, investing heavily into the body, and I think ultimately this is why she got the victory. Nice short elbow. She threw a bunch of those spear elbows. If you guys are unfamiliar with a spear elbow, as opposed to your traditional elbow that comes across the top like that, a spear elbow, you go boom like that. So coming straight up, and she's doing a lot of those spear elbows in this fight, especially when she has Barber up against the cage. And also, too, nice patience. She's not going crazy. And then, boom, when she's ready, she tees it up. Look at that. Beautiful knees into the body. Look at that. That was like 4 in a row. Just, oh, look at that body shot. You see, now she's really letting loose. It's like she went from throwing at 60%. Now she's throwing at like 80%. Again, tagging her up right there. We're going to go ahead to the finishing sequence. The only thing that was kind of a bummer was there was an eye poke. This was right after the eye poke. Now you're going to see the finishing sequence. So, again, 118 right now. She finishes her with about 20 seconds left. This is where Barber comes back after the eye poke and she lays it on Smilla. I thought this was really cool too because it showed that Smilla has great composure. She didn't flinch. She didn't back up. She stayed in the mix. She took some damage and then boom, now she turns it back up. That was Barber's one little flurry. And then Smilla takes back over in the fight until she pins her up against the fence and just tees off. So now she's getting in there, boom, getting measuring with that jab. And then here we go. Now the view is going to be a little blocked from the ref, but you see the knees fly. You see the damage being done. And the referee is just watching close. At this point in the fight, Smilla was landing shots from every which way. Elbows, punches, and knees all up in close. And Barber literally was just like trying to get out of the way to whatever extent she could, but it was really not really very much intelligent defending. I mean, you can kind of see right there. Again, it's getting cut off, but she's just eating shots. There you go. See, now she's throwing some elbows, some knees, just eating shots. Ref's about to jump in, and finally, it's just too much. Barber, tough as they come. Oh yeah, I think look at that. 10 seconds left. And then he's about to call it off. 9 seconds, 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Guys, Smilla Sundell has arrived. And I'm proud to say that I got to see her first ever pro MMA fight in person in the front row. And when I say front row, just to be clear, it was actually not on the floor. It wasn't a floor seats like right in front of the cage, but there were 2 rows of floor seats. And then I was the next row. So it was as close as you could get. It was the best seats I could find, best seats I could buy. It was amazing. Let me know what you guys think of that Smilla fight from what you could see of it. And check out the video that I made as well, giving my reaction. But, dude, I am so excited for Smilla Sundell. And like I said, I hope she can do that, make that 135 cutoff and eventually get into the UFC. Now, the last topic was Cameron Smotherman feints. We already talked about it. We chopped it up. I think Justin gave some really good insights. I think he's going to do a breakdown video of exactly what happened and what he thinks happened with that weight miss. But that's going to be fascinating. I think he's kind of questioning the legitimacy of it a little bit. Cameron, if you're listening to this, look, we're just trying to play detective here. We're just trying to figure out what's going on. So I hope people don't take this in the wrong way, but we're just doing what we're supposed to do here and just talk about this event and talk about what we saw and what we witnessed. And I think Justin made some interesting points. So he's going to make a deep dive video later on. But that's all we got for you guys today. I am freaking out. I am beyond excited for tomorrow. I'm having a big party tomorrow for UFC 324, and I cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, not only are we back, but we are back and better than ever. We don't have to pay for these pay-per-views anymore. We just got numbered events. I got my Paramount subscription ready to go. We got the people about to come over tomorrow. We just got to get the food arrangements, get everything ready and locked up, and we are in for UFC 324. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.